Okay, guys, so welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to be looking at a very small data set. For this video is specifically for beginners. If you are new in the data analytics field and you're trying to get along with the data analytics, this video is strictly for beginners. We are going to be treating basic metrics that you can get started with that can give you solid foundation when it comes to understanding how to work with data. So I'm going to be showing you our data. We're going to be working with this particular data set. This is a call center data set, and you can see like what we have. We have ID, customer's name, sentiment. We have the CSAT score column. This is like the satisfactory column. We are going to have to edit that when we get to the stage of data cleaning so that we name our column the right way. It's very important that you name your column in such a way that you'll be able to understand your data perfectly. Then we have the call timestamp, we have the reasons, we have city, they are quite explanatory, we have states, channels. This is like the channels through which different callers call through. We have response time where they are responded to. We have the call duration in minutes, and we have the call center. So the business has different call centers. So this is like an overview of our data, and you can see that we have some rows here that are not filled, but we do all that when we get to data cleaning. So let's go back to our Power BI. So yeah, I want to believe that you understand the Power BI interface by now. If you don't, let me know in the comment section, or you can look out for my next video for a video where I'm going to explain the overview of Power BI. Now, here we are going to upload our data, then go to Power Query to clean our data. So our data is in Excel, so we are going to import data from Excel. Then we can look for our data. I have my data here, so I'm going to see all files. Yes, I have my data, call center data. Then the data is loading. Okay, you can see the preview of our data. So this is like the preview of our data, and we have options here on what we want to do with the data. If we are loading the data, then it means that we assume or we believe that the data is clean and we don't have to do any sort of transformation to the data. Now, if you want to transform the data, we're going to clean the data using Power Query. So we will transform the data right now in Power Query. So I'll just click on transform data. Now our Power Query is loading. Good. So we have our data here. I'm going to be turning off this, then I'll explain to you later. So we have our Power BI, we have our Power Query here, and you can see our data here. We have our ID, every of our data here. We have it. So we are going to be doing our cleaning here. The first thing is to change the name of the data in case the name is not correct. So you can type in the name here, but our name is correct, so we don't need to do that. Then we have this apply step sort of um help you to take note of all the changes that you're making to your data, all the steps that you're applying. You just sort of keep the records of those steps. So we have our data. Now we can start with our data cleaning. The first thing, the ID is correct. Now let's change this name to satisfactory score. So you just need to double click on the name. If I double click on it now, then you can clean it and type satisfactory score. So I'm just going to type this here now. Okay, so we have our name. Then I'm going to confirm all the data types. Now this is our ID and it's set to test yes, because we can perform any form of calculation with our ID, so it's better to just leave it as test. We have our customer's name test, we have sentiment, which is test is okay. Then we have our satisfactory score, which is set to O number, yeah, which is correct because at some point we will need to perform some form of calculation. Then we have our call timestamp, which is like the date is correct. We can change this to date, or we can leave it as call timestamp. Let's change it to date. So I'm going to change this to date. Okay. Then we have our reasons for calling. We have our city, we have state and all. Yes, I think everything is Power BI. Power Query as a way of automatically helping you to determine your data types, but you can recheck and set it appropriately based on the objectives of your data set. Now I want to speak briefly about this column. You can see that this column has quite a number of empty rows. Now it is not advisable to work on empty rows, but there are rules that guide um working with an empty row, standard deviation, and some of all other rules. But it is important that you understand these rules. You can read up on them. You can try to watch some videos. I'm hoping that I will create a videos based on this rules some of one of these days. So we have this data set. We are not going to be removing. It's either we remove the empty rows, but in this case the empty rows are quite much, so we cannot remove them, and we cannot do sort of standard deviation because this is customers feedback. They are supposed to fill in how they feel about the service that is being rendered, but since we cannot fill it for them too. So in order to not decide for them how they feel or not, so that's what we will do when we get to the point of analyzing. So we will just try to get the average instead of summing the total all together. Now, so we are just going to leave this column, then proceed to analyze our data. So in case you need to do this, data is quite clean, there's not so much to do. So I'm going to come back to my home tab, then I'm going to say close and apply, close and apply. Then our data comes back to Power BI, it loads back to Power BI. Then we can start to analyze our data. It's currently loading. Please, while it's loading, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel and turn on your notifications so you can get more of my videos as I upload them. Okay, now, so our data is downloading to Power BI. So we have our data now, which is why you can see that the outlook or the canvas has changed. Now it's saying build visuals with your data because it has detected that there's now a data in this canvas. Now you can see this is our data, call center data. There was a mistake with the name. We can either go back to transform data to change the name. So let's go back to transform data to change the name, or you can just continue to work with it like that. So I'm going to come here and type in center, call center. Yes, then enter. Then you can close and apply again. Then your data loads back in. Now you have our call center, so you have the correct name now. And if I drop this down, you're going to see all our columns for our data set. So all the columns for data set. Now let's get right into analysis. So let's analyze this data. The first thing I want to do is to set my canvas setting. So I'll come to the format pane, come to canvas page information, canvas settings. I'm going to pick a custom size. um then I will do 17 by 2002. Okay, so that's my custom size. Then I'm going to come to the background. There's a background that I designed, like a dashboard that I designed for my dashboard. I'm going to bring it in. I'm going to make a video on how I designed that. I used Figma for that, but you can equally use PowerPoint. If you are very good with PowerPoint, you can use PowerPoint to design it. So I'm going to upload my image now. I have it here in my download folder. This is it. Okay, you can't see it because my transparency is at 100%. So I'm going to try to bring this back. Yes, so you can see. Then I'm going to put it on Fit. Now this is the design that I made. I made it with Figma, but you can equally use something like PowerPoint to design like a sort of dashboard design for for your for your data set, for your insights. So we have our background. Now we can start to analyze. So the first thing, if you come here, this is my data, excuse me, under my table view I have my data, my ID, all of them. You can see my data from here. So the first thing I want to do in this analysis is to get the total calls. What is the total calls? Don't forget this data is for the period of 1 month, which is October 2020, just 1 month period. So we want to know the total calls that came in through that 1 month. So I'm going to come to my card visual. So I'm using a card visual. Yeah, so I have my card visual here. Then I'm going to first add my data. To get my total calls, I'm going to use my IDs because each ID represents each calls that came in. Is unique to each calls that came in. So I'm going to come here, look for my ID and drag it to my field. Now it's showing me my first ID, but what I want you to do is to count the entire ID. So I'll come to this array, then select this first, and either use count or count distance. The difference between count or count distance is that count will count everything, including duplicates in case there are duplicates in your data, but there's no duplicates in this data. So we can either use count or count distance. Okay, so we have our counts. So let's format this appropriately. So I'm putting this here. So I'm going to bring it here, adjust it to fit the cell. Okay, so let's format this. The first thing, let me try to zoom in on this so that you can see what I'm doing. Okay, the first thing I want to do is to come to my format pane here, close this. And I'm going to turn off the background for this card visual. Yes, then I'm going to use my color value. I want to select a different font. Okay, then I can make my color value say 40, and I want to make it white. Okay, then the category level, I'm turning it off. Then I want it to show in full without this K. So I'm going to come to display unit and say none. Okay, you can see that we have our full matrix now. I want to move it somewhere around there. Adjust it, then move it somewhere around there. Okay, now we need to title this because I turn off the data label. I want to title it myself. If I turn on the data label, you're going to see the title, but I want to sort of title this by myself. So I'm going to come here um, and pick my text box. This is the text box here. Then I'm going to type my title, total calls. You can see the total calls. I'm going to adjust it, pick like a font. Let's use a total different font for the titles. So let me stick with something like this. I'm going to increase the size. Okay, then let's adjust this, make it much more smaller. Then I'm going to make the text white. Yes, then come to format pane. Under your format pane, then we are going to turn off the background. So it doesn't have background here. So we can move this somewhere around there as the total calls. Now we have been able to achieve our first matrix, which is the total calls matrix. Now let's move on to the next matrix, which I'm going to duplicate this now. duplicate, paste. Then I'm going to bring this here. So we are going to format this to black, color value black, because this background not exactly black, because the background is white. Now we will remove this data. Now I'm going to remove this data because this is not what I want to do. So I'm going to come here to my field, remove this, close this. Now the next thing that I want to do is our satisfactory score. Remember, we have quite a number of empty rows in our satisfactory score, but we want to try to get what is the average of the scores that we get. So on an average, how much rating did we get? So I'm going to bring in my satisfactory score to my field now. Now this is the total, because we when we were setting the data set, we set it to whole numbers. It means that it can sum it up, it can perform any arithmetic with it. Now, but we want to just our main purpose, our main metrics is to get the average. So I'm going to come to this arrow here, then under the sum here, I'm going to select average. Now this is average, so it means that on an average, our rating is 5.5. On an average, our rating is 5.5. So you can copy this to title it, copy, paste, then bring it here. So let's make this black so that we can see. I'm going to make him sort of black from here. Okay, so we are going to give this average and shorten it satisfactory score. So let's spread this out. Yeah, so we have been able to get our average satisfactory score, and we are making progress with our data, our insights. So the next thing is also to do the call duration in minutes. What is the average minute that a customer spent on a call? Remember that we have in our data set, we have a column for call duration in minutes, where the minutes that each customer spent is recorded. But we don't want to just see that this is the total that they spent. We want to know on an average how many minutes did our customer spend on call. This will help us to know if we are wasting customers' time, because customers should not be spending so much minutes just to get their issue resolved. So we'll come here. Let me click on this. We copy this, copy here, then paste it. Then you can move to this place. Now move to this place. Okay, then we can copy this also. Copy this. We use this for the title. Yes. Okay, so we are going to remove this now and put our average call duration in minutes. Then we are going to do the same thing. So we try to get the average, just like what we did for average satisfactory score. So we come to this place. Instead of sum, you select the average. Now you can see that on an average, a customer spends about 25 minutes to seconds, which is quite too much. If you ask me, average call duration in minutes. Okay, so this is basically our card visuals. So we are done with our card visuals. You can see we have our total calls, average satisfactory score, and call duration in minutes, and our dashboard is coming live. Now the next thing we want to do is to do a call trend for the whole month of October. What's the call trend like? So we are going to do a call trend. And when you're doing anything call trend or trend analysis, it's best to use your line chart, your area chart, all of that. So let's select we're going to be using our area chart. Okay, so I'm going to bring my area chart here, then expand it here. Okay, so I'm going to add my data. The first thing I want to add is my date. Now it's showing me date in reference to year, quarter, and month and day. But remember that I mentioned that our data is just for a month period, does not cover a year or quarterly. It's just a month. That's like 31 days in October. So we are going to close the year. We don't have year. quarter, we don't have even months. We don't have, our data is not in months, it's just in days, which is the 31 days of the month of October. Then the next thing is I want to know how each call center perform based on call, how each call center perform. So I'm going to drag in my call center here. Now you can see, so it means you can see the count of each call center for each day, how many call center was open for each day. So from the first, we have 1089 call center opens, and you can go on and on and on. Let's format this now. So I'm going to bring in my format. So for my y-axis, for my x-axis, I'm going to, for the value, let's make it our font, which is this. Then let's increase this to 20. I think we can turn off the title. You can equally turn off your value here. We really do not need value for the x-axis. Then for the y-axis, you can increase this, select your font, then increase this to 20. Then turn off the title. You don't need the title. Then I equally do not need the main title. I'm going to be putting the title myself. Okay. Now we want to work with a color scheme. So I'm going to adjust this because of my title. Then I'm going to turn off the background. Yes, so I have something like this. Then I want to work with the color for my line chart. So I'll come to line, then come to colors, and I can select my colors. I have a color in my Figma that I intend to use. I don't know if I have it here. Okay, so let's just select any random color. So I'm going to do something around blue. Um, so I'm just going to, okay, so I can do this color. You can play around with color. Just be sure that you use great colors for your dashboard. Okay, so let's make it this. Okay, so this is our call trend. You can see our call trend for each call. It's going to indicate the call centers that were the count of call centers for each call. So let's copy this. I'm going to copy the title, then I'll paste it, then bring it here because I want to use it to title this. So I'm going to give this I'm going to call this call trend. That's call trends. Yeah, let me zoom in. You can see we have our call trend. Yeah. So the next thing we want to do is to see the call center per each state. So there are different states, but we want to know how many call centers do we have in each of those states. So let's analyze that. So the first thing is to come to our build measure, our build pane, then select our shape. So you are going to be using our shape map. Okay, so we have our shape map here. Then I'm going to add my data. I'm going to add to the location. I'm going to add my state. Then to the saturation because I want it to give like a saturated color from the highest to the lowest. So I'm going to add my call center color saturation. Yes, so you can see that we have like a color saturation. I'm bringing this somewhere here. So I'll adjust it. Yeah, spread it out a little. Okay, so let's format this now. Just this. My title, I'm turning it off. Then the fill colors from maximum, I'll select this. Yeah, then from minimum, I can select like a light shade of blue, or a light shade of the color that I'm using right now. Okay, so I can select this. So with this, it shows you the from the highest to the lowest. If you roll over it, you're going to see your two teams showing you the count, the states. This is California. California has about 3,631 call center. This is Texas. So it shows you based on the state and the count of call center. So this is our state. Then we can name this location. We can call it location by. So let's copy this and paste. I'll call this location by call center or call center by location, call center by state, anyhow. Yeah. So the next thing we want to try to do is to know the reasons for calling, right? The reasons why customers are calling, the main reasons why they are calling. So I'm going to use like a bar chart or a column chart for this. So let's come to our build. I'll select my column chart and bring this here. This is my column chart. Bring it here. Adjust it to fit in. Now I'm going to add my reasons to my x-axis. Then I'll add my call center to my y-axis. Now you can see the reason we have billing question topping, and you can format this. So let's format this properly. I'm turning off the title, then x-axis. Let me select my font, make this 20 or say 15. Okay, then I'll turn off this title right here. Then close my x-axis, come to my y-axis. I'm going to turn off the title. For the value, I'll select this and make this 15. Okay, so let's show our data label. Come to data label, click on turn it off, turn it on, I mean. Then come to value, change it to our font, make it 15. Yeah, then you can decide to turn off the grid line if you want. Then let's change our column colors. So I'm going to come here and select this. So in case I want to try to highlight, sometimes it's okay that you highlight the highest. It's just for you to put some sort of attention. So I can come to the highest and make it green. Then the others, let's say the whole, I'm giving it like a dark gray. Then for the specific billing questions, I can now say green. So you sort of put attention on the highest. Sometimes you might want to put the attention on the minimum, but we're putting the attention on the maximum here. Okay, so the next thing is to um let's do the next thing in our analysis is now let's know the channels. We have different channels based on our data. We have channels. You can see we have, let's see the number of our channels. We have call center, chatbot, email, and web. So let's go back and know which of these call channels are people using mostly. So I'm going to be using my pie chart for that. So I'll come here, select the pie chart. Then I'm putting this somewhere here. Don't forget we need to title this. So I'm going to copy this, paste, then bring this here, give this a title, say reasons for calling. Yeah, so this is the reason why customers call. Then let's come back to this. Now we have our pie chart. We want to know the channels. So I'm going to close this. I'm going to drag my channels to label. Then I'm going to use my call center for the value. Now you can see, so we have this. So let's try to format this right now. So I'll come here to the format pane, then turn off the title. I'll title that myself. Then let's change the color of the slices from the highest. Let's just play around with colors. So let me do a little bit of something different now. Let's do this. Let me do this. Okay, so we have this. I'm going to bring this down here, adjust it, spread it out a little. Okay, so let's format this. So for my legend, I want it to be at the bottom center. Yes, you can see. Then I'll increase the size. Let me change the font type. Increase the size to say 15. Then I want to turn off the title of the legend. So turn off the title so you have just the options. Then for my details, it's outside. Yes, I want it to be outside, but I want to show the percentage of total. Then I want to increase the size a little, make it 15. Yeah, so you can see more clearly now. Then we can title our this, copy this or any other one, bring it here. Then I can call this call channels. Call channels. It's okay to use description that you know is good for your audience, but make sure that you are able to use the right description. Okay, so we have one more thing to go for this analysis, which is the response time. So we need to know the response time. So I'm going to come here, select like our bar chart. Okay, so we have our bar chart here. I'm going to bring it here, adjust it. Then I'm going to add my response time to my y-axis, then my call center. Okay, so let's format this properly. So I'm going to turn off the title for my y-axis, 15. Yes, turn off the title. Then for my x-axis, I can decide to turn that off, but the value I don't really need it. Then I can turn on my data label, turn it on. Then for the value, let's adjust it and make this 15. Okay, yeah, so let's work on the bar just like what we did for our column chart. Select all to be gray, then the highest, which is the within SLA, then you can make that green. Yeah, so with this you are able to highlight the focus, put the focus. Now let me copy this title, then use it to title my sort of give my data a title. So I'm going to make this response time. So I'm going to response time. So we are done with this analysis now. Like I said, it's just a simple analysis. And this space, I intentionally leave this space in case I want to write like a short description or recommendation. All of these I designed them while I was designing my template. So you can equally design. Like I said, I'm going to be trying to create a video on how I create my background. So the next thing will be to add title to our data. So I will come to text box, then put a title here, type in call center report. You want to make sure that You had the period of, I can say October 2020. So I can bring it here. Let's just say, okay, so let me increase the size. Let's use the Let me increase the size to 36. Spread it out. Okay, so there's one more thing before we go. I want to add, like, make this color this. I want to add slicers to my report. So I want to have like a slicers that I can use to filter my report. So let's do that. So I'll come to my and pick a slicer to my build. Let me close this. Pick a slicer now. This is the slicer. Then I'll come here. The first thing I want to use a slicer. I can decide to use my reasons for calling filter based on reasons for calling. You can see. So let's format our slicer settings. I'm going to be using a drop down. Sorry, let me undo that. I think I make a mistake. Okay, so let me bring this somewhere around there. So we can format it to text. Slicer settings, slicer headers, its reasons. You can rename that whatever. You can increase the size to 20 and slicer values. You can make it this, then maybe 15, or you can increase. Let's reduce the to 15, and the values, let's make it 20. And then you can adjust this and put it somewhere around here. You can double click and duplicate this. Come here and duplicate. So let's have like two slicers. So instead of reasons this time around, I can put in states. So I can say I equally want to filter by state. Then come to settings, slicer headings, and change this to state. Okay, so with this, you are able to filter your data based on state and based on reasons for calling. So this is our dashboard. You can see, let me zoom in. You can see our dashboard for call center. Thank you for watching this video. Please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and turn on the notification icon so that you can get more videos from me. And please don't forget to drop a comment and share this video. Thank you. Bye.